The real reason for the Duggars dress code. Michelle Duggar established the family trend. Unlike the Amish plain aesthetic, the Duggar dress requirement is not a family heritage. Michelle Duggar donned the same attire as her friends as a teen, something she now regrets. In a now-deleted blog article for TLC in 2012, she stated, "Growing up I would wear a bathing suit or shorts, and not realize that it was revealing. When I got older I really felt convicted about my responsibility for how I was causing others to be defrauded. And I began to cover up because I felt responsible for my part in that." In another post, the Duggar matriarch clarified that her husband explained to her about how men see things, and what goes on in their minds, when they look at women. With this in mind, the Duggars' parents started dress their children modestly at home. Michelle has stated that the children were never forced to follow the dress code, but were instead encouraged to make comparable choices as they grew older. "I find that my daughters are even more careful with their appearances," Michelle wrote at the time. "Their modesty is their own. They own it themselves. I'm not the one telling them what to wear. As my 12-year-old girls are growing and maturing, sometimes I'll have to mention to them when things are getting too snug or revealing." For the Duggars, Nike was more than just a shoe brand. The Duggars' stance on modest dress is meant to avoid defrauding. In Duggar speak, this means stirring up desires that cannot be righteously fulfilled, as Mom Michelle has said. To put it another way, it implies not clothing in a way that could be considered provocative. The Duggar sons were given a novel method for avoiding sexual thoughts. In the book, Growing Up Duggar, daughters Jana, Jessa, Ginger, and Jill explained that the family used the code word, Nike, whenever they passed a woman who looked immodest. That was the cue for the boys to look down at their shoes. That's why 19 Kids never featured the family going to the beach. In another blog post, Michelle explained, "In general we don't do a lot of swimming events where swimming suits are worn, because it's just too hard for the guys to try to keep their eyes averted in those situations. Instead, they would go to private creeks or visit friends who had pools, where they could wear modest clothes in the water." Of course, the message is that men cannot control their sexual desires, so women must avoid enticing them by covering themselves. Critics have lambasted the family for holding this idea, saying it's especially devastating given that oldest son Josh Duggar is presently spending time in prison for possessing child pornography. 19 Kids and counting. Kids have grown up since the show first aired. More than half of the Duggar children are now adults, and the majority of them have married and established their own families. Some have chosen to abandon the limited clothing code they followed as children as they have carved out their own lifestyles. Ginger Duggar Vuolo is the sixth of the 19 children and the fourth daughter. Ginger adhered to a skirt and dress wardrobe during her marriage to pro soccer player turned minister Jeremy Vuolo. Her perspectives gradually shifted as she and Jeremy began studying the Bible together. Ginger determined that there were no verses in the Bible that clearly barred women from wearing trousers, as she writes in her book, The Hope We Hold, which she and Jeremy released in 2021. "I realized that biblical modesty is deeper and more profound than wearing skirts instead of pants," she wrote. She asked Jeremy for his opinion, and he encouraged her to follow her true desire to understand what the Bible said and do exactly that. Ginger has subsequently worn not only pantsuits like the one shown above, but also jeans, shorts, and even tank tops. Felicity and Evangeline Jo Volos, the Volos daughters, have also been spotted in pants. Faith is more than just outward appearances for one family. Jill has defied many of her parents' rules. Jill Duggar Dillard was one of the first of the Duggar children to marry and have children, Israel and Samuel. But what appeared to be a joyous continuation of the family saga soon went gloomy. The Dillards claim that Jill's father, Jim Bob, withheld their television earnings, and told them not to visit the large mansion where Jill grew up. Another cause of conflict is Jill's older brother Josh. While Jim Bob and Michelle supported Josh during his trial and punishment, the couple now believes that justice was done. When you look at Jill today, you might not believe she used to follow a rigorous modesty code. Although she does wear dresses on occasion, she is more likely to be seen in jeans, t-shirts, shorts, and hoodies. Her hair is still long, as is customary for Duggar girls, but she has lightened it, and frequently wears a head wrap. Jill has pierced her nose and once uploaded images of henna tattoos on her hands, which are quite un-Duggarly. The Dillards also have less stringent recreation demands, they enjoy trips to the beach, and their sons are taking swim lessons. Jill, on the other hand, has swimwear restrictions. She has pushed a modest bathing suit range that includes shorts, skirts, and T-tops.